Comprehension actually entails the understanding of a written text, a process in which information from the text and the knowledge possessed by the reader act together to produce meaning. And so, what the reader brings to the text in terms of knowledge, whether that's vocabulary knowledge or world knowledge or knowledge of sentence structures, knowledge of the kind of text they're reading, the reader brings that to a text to help produce the meaning. And we're going to dig into both this idea of process and product. So, we all know that the fundamental goal of learning to read is to understand the text. Again, whether it's for enjoyment, for some practical purpose, or to learn or to find some information, right? You could read a text for enjoyment, and you maybe not go down, the deep rabbit hole of deep comprehension. It's just sort of fun, and there's areas in that text you skim because, yeah, you didn't really want to read that part about that interaction with that, whatever characters, and you sort of move on. Or maybe you're reading a text because you want to learn how to put together this new gadget that you got for your kitchen. That's a very practical purpose. Or maybe you want to learn or find some information. So you're reading this research article because you really want to dig in and understand how to connect that information to the teaching practices in your school or in your classroom. Those are very different purposes for reading, and they're very different reading products or end goals, right? So you can think of the product, comprehension product, as the end goal of reading. But there's also this other element of comprehension called comprehension process, which is complex. And sometimes we're not sure how it has to be taught or improved, but giving attention to the processes and skills that need to be orchestrated during this comprehension process. And we're going to unpack some of those things and try to better understand what this process is. I think we all get this idea of comprehension products. This is all I did when I was a teacher in the classroom. I didn't really understand about this thing called comprehension process, but I did have things like, all right, we're going to read this text and then we're going to go back and see if we can find the main idea and write it in your own words and summarize it. Or can you go back and find two details in the text? Or let's read this longer text and see if we can identify a theme. Or maybe I gave my students a couple of texts and we did a comparison of the two texts, or maybe we compared and contrasted two characters in a story or analyzed a single character, or maybe we used something like a timeline to try to summarize the information that we read. All of these are great activities, right, for students to be engaged with text, but they're the end goal, right? And the assumption is that during the reading process, the kids have comprehended enough to be able to then accomplish these products or accomplish these tasks at the end.